I moved to Buffalo in the heart of winter, and from day one, some of you were telling me that St. Patrick's Day is the hurdle to clear in order to get past Buffalo's harshest season. But is March 17th really the turning point, or is that all a bunch of blarney? I look into that in this week's edition of Heather's Weather Wise. I think this goes without saying, but winters in western New York tend to be a little bit longer than what most in the rest of the U.S. have to deal with. Even as temperatures are starting to rise in southern states, the ice on Lake Erie helps to keep us just that much colder, that much longer. For starters, let's look at where we should be on March 17th, this past Sunday. Average high is 42 degrees, average low is 26 degrees. Over the next several weeks, we'll be adding 2 to 3 degrees to those averages every single week. I also looked at the average snowfall from March 17th through May 1st. Surprisingly, there's not a lot during the second half of that period, but typically we end up with 7.2 inches of snow during that time period. But an average around here doesn't tell us much, especially with Lake Erie being wide open, which it often is during this time of the year. But interestingly, March 17th is on average the first day where the lake temperature near Buffalo is above freezing. Open water has helped out with a couple big late-season storms, like the St. Patrick's Day storm in 1963. 19 inches of snow fell on just that day. March 29th of 1954 brought over a foot of snow to western New York, too. But those were the only two 10-inch-plus snowstorms after St. Patrick's Day in our recorded history. There have been 13 different days with at least 6 inches of snow falling in the Buffalo area. But here's where I think our perception of the end of winter comes in. Whatever falls doesn't stick around for too long. That brings us to one of my favorite things to focus on this time of the year, the sun angle and our length of daylight. On St. Patrick's Day, the sun rises to a maximum angle of 45.9 degrees. That's the same sun angle as September 26th, and our days are about 12 hours long. By April 1st, we're up to the same sun angle as September 10th. That's a lot of extra energy reaching the Earth. For all you math nerds out there, we can quantify this extra solar energy by something called insolation. To keep it easy, I'll directly compare summer to winter. Assuming a clear sky and maximum sunlight, about half of the energy from the sun that even makes it to Earth reaches Earth's surface. Assuming that only Earth's tilt is changing between seasons, we get about 300 to 500 watts per meter squared in the winter versus 600 to 1,000 watts per meter squared in the summer. For context, a medium-sized LCD screen uses about 150 watts of energy. That's a lot of extra power coming in from the sun. So in the end, I don't think it's really flipping a switch on March 17th, but rather the perceived end of winter thanks to that higher sun angle. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Heather's Weather Wise. I'll see you next week with a new topic, but until then, remember, it's good to be a geek.